My dear friends, chess lovers, today I'm bringing you an opening trap, one of those you love so much to win really quickly. For all of you who are a bit sneaky, don't like studying endgames or the middle game, and just want to win right away in the opening. So open your eyes wide, even perk up your ears, and let's get started with this spectacular trap. The great thing about this trap is that it happens in the double king's pawn opening, which is fantastic because we can use it in the vast majority of our games. We'll start in a super common way. Knight to f3, attacking the d5 square. And as you know, the most popular response to this move is knight to c6. Right or wrong? Very good. So how does our opening trap begin, chess teacher? Will it be with the Scotch opening? Will it be with the Italian opening? Nope, it's with the Spanish opening. We'll start by playing this bishop to b5, and you'll see that it makes perfect sense. At this point, the most popular move, without a doubt, in fact, you've mentioned it a lot in the comments, is that your opponent will try to chase away this bishop. Simple. We just have to move it back. That's all. Why? Because what matters to us is staying in contact with the knight. All right, they have two options. Either keep putting pressure on our bishop, right? Or not do that, for example, by developing their knight to f6 and attacking this d4 square. Right? Those are the two options they have, right? Attack or not attack. If they attack our bishop, pay attention, okay? We're going to reposition it to b3. With what idea? Well, now, when they keep developing normally and keep putting pressure on us, the usual thing would be, for example, to defend the pawn with knight to c3, right? You could even play d3 to have everything well defended. There are even variations where you castle and then play rook to e1, sacrificing this pawn on d4. But the fabulous idea we're bringing today is to do a kind of fried liver attack, but in the Spanish opening. And you'll see that it's going to bring us really great results. Here, black's pieces are already starting to get a little nervous, right? What's happening here? Can I stop it? Can I not stop it? All right, let's see how they should react. The threat is obvious. Capturing this f7 square with the knight, supported from a distance by the bishop, attacking both the queen and at the same time the rook. So logically, they can't allow us to capture here. Also, capturing with the bishop would be quite dangerous, since it would force the king out of his shelter. And of course, this position would be wonderful for white. However, for now, they still have one move that saves everything. And that move is d5. Makes sense, right? They block the bishop's diagonal and prevent us from entering with either our knight or our bishop through the f7 square. First of all, I'm sure everyone would guess the first move. We must completely eliminate this pawn that's bothering us. They have two options. The most common is that they recapture with the knight. This is the most common, and it's a serious mistake. And another option is, for example, that they move the knight away. Let's see how to react against both variations. First of all, if they take this pawn, they've already lost the game. That's right, you heard me. Why? Because they've gotten themselves into serious trouble. It looks like they're stopping our attack on the f7 square, but they're really not. And we can jump in with our knight anyway. We're attacking the queen and we're attacking a ret. So it's obvious, right? They have to capture the knight. And what we're doing is a decoy sacrifice because we're luring the king toward the center of the board. That's right. We're down a knight at this point, right? I'll leave the pieces here on the side so you can see it all clearly. However, since the king is so badly placed, we can keep attacking him in a very simple way. And we'll do it with the queen to f3. You see what's happening, right? We give check and attack this knight on d5 twice. That is, if they made the serious mistake of either defending with the queen, then we would capture here without a problem, or even after this check, if they retreat with the king, we would also capture on d5 again. And as you can see, all these variations are completely losing for the black pieces. Not only have we recovered the knight, but we also have an extra pawn, and we're going to win this knight as well, with drastic consequences, right? That's why they can't, not even as a joke, okay? After this check, they can't go back. Instead, they have to go defend this knight. It's a bit sad, sure, but that's what they have to do, right? There's no other way. Very good. Right now, we're down a piece, but our attack is lethal. Look at the pin we have here, the pin we have over here, and we're going to increase it with this knight development, knight to c3. As I always tell you, it's good to memorize the moves, but above all, try to understand the concept behind them. At this moment, since we have a pen, what we're doing is putting more pressure on this knight that can't move. Therefore, they have to look for a solution to defend it. They can't defend it with any piece. They can't move it away because then they would be in this discovered check. So the only option, and there's just one, would be to defend it with this knight. If they come this way, they simply lose the game because we chase them away with a3, and now when they leave, we can capture it. So the only thing they can do is place it on s7. As you can see, right? They can't do anything else. If you understand these concepts, it'll really help you. Save this video so you can watch it as many times as you need. The idea here is that we could continue in several ways. This position is very advantageous, but the most critical is the following: d4. Once again, let's understand the ideas. Since the opponent's king is extremely exposed and badly placed in the center of the board, what we want to do is open lines in the center, then castle to checkmate, or at least force them to sacrifice material. That's why capturing here would be a serious mistake, since it would open the line completely for us. However, they could do anything else. Just as an example, c6 to try to better defend this knight that's being attacked. And then we will capture this pawn here. On the next move, we'll castle or even develop this bishop to castle long. And this position is tremendously winning. I'm just making this up so you can see how it could continue, okay? We could do something like this, and as you can see, this could already be practically won on the spot. A castle long, add more pressure, and this king is going to end up suffering a lot. So it's important, we'll start with the Spanish opening: knight to f3, knight to c6, and bishop to b5. When they chase away our bishop, it's extremely important that you move it back exactly to the a4 square. If you don't, none of this will work for you. All right, we're still looking at what happens when they kick out this bishop. Don't worry, I'll show you right now what happens if they don't do that, okay? Because that's also very simple, you'll see. We move it back to b3, and now, for example, they might play knight to f6, attacking this pawn. What do we want to do? Defend it? No, instead we want to go attack the f7 square. Black, as we've seen, right? They can only defend it by playing d5, blocking the diagonal with the pawn. So we'll capture it, and here comes the key moment of the position, all right? This is the key moment. We've seen that capturing this pawn is a very bad move, because then we could destroy this f7 point, undermine it, and win the game immediately. We've confirmed that. But of course, here someone more experienced would say, well, I'm not going to capture this pawn. Instead, what I'll do is move away the knight you're attacking. And taking advantage of the fact that in the Spanish opening, I bring the knight to a5 to win this bishop, many of your opponents will do the same, right? Because then, look at this, okay? Our bishop has no escape. And this looks really good for black, but again, it's not correct. If you were playing as black, I recommend that you place the knight right here in front, on d4. It's the best solution for black, although the game would just continue normally, right? It would be a completely normal game, but we wouldn't have those traps anymore. It would continue with d3 and all that very well. But as I've noticed, most people play knight to a5 to trap this bishop. So here's what we'll do. We're just going to ignore everything and castle the king. It's that simple. Chessteacher, are you letting your bishop get captured? Of course, because I couldn't save that bishop anyway, right? So when you capture it, I'll take back with this pawn, and it's true that I won't have the pair of bishops, but I have something more important, which is the attack and the initiative. Even though now they might win back this pawn, and they're even attacking our knight, our position is very good. Here you have several options. If you're a bit dull and not feeling adventurous, play d4. And then, at this point, you'll have an equal position where the knight is well defended, we're attacking the center, trying to open it up nicely. A perfectly correct move. But if you're like me, and you like a bit of excitement on the chessboard, because off the chessboard, I have to admit, I'm not very lively. The idea is that we can play queen to f3, a wonderful move that's so hard to defend against that it's practically impossible for them to manage it. What are we threatening? It's obvious, right? If someone isn't paying attention and tries to play like this, we deliver checkmate on the next move. So we're threatening checkmate. They can't come to stop it because we take the rook. So be careful. These threats are serious. But anyway, they can still play, for example, f6, which is a good move, right? Because they're threatening this knight and also preventing us from delivering that checkmate. So we're going to continue in a very, very interesting way. And here's how. We're going to play it cool and completely give away this knight by playing what? Knight to c3. It looks like a normal developing move. Sometimes, when I've played this position in online games, what I do is when I play queen to f3 threatening mate, I see that they think for a while about everything I just explained to you, and they end up playing f6. So I already prepare the knight to drop it here, and when they do that, I drop it immediately. This is online, so they think I made a pre-move, okay? And then they say, "Oh, he blundered the knight." Look, first of all, it's not a gift because we could simply recover it over here, and look at this. The black pawn structure is really messed up, and this position is actually very advantageous for us, okay? So, if they're a bit sharper, they're not going to capture this knight, but instead, they'll try to defend this square. And I'm sure all of you are thinking of the same move, and that's a complete mistake. If we're attacking with the queen and also pinning this rook, and on top of that, we're putting pressure on the knight, most of you would do this, right? Yes or no? To properly defend the knight, and who knows, maybe even set up a discovered attack with the knight in the future. And this is a complete mistake, because the bishop needed to be on this square since it was defending e6. As soon as it moves, we jump in with the knight, and look at this beauty. We attack the queen and we attack the bishop. Well, it's true the queen can move and nothing has really happened here. However, we have an ace up our sleeve to finish the game immediately. Pay attention. Let's suppose the queen moves away. But now, even though this knight is defended by two pieces and attacked by two pieces, we can capture it without any problem at all. Check this out. I win a piece. I'm going to put it over here. They capture me over here. We each have one piece. Nothing has happened here, but now I can sacrifice the queen, and all of you can see why, right? Now that I have an extra piece, it doesn't matter if you take my queen or not, I'm still going to be up a piece. Because if you take my queen, I'll simply recapture here. And now we'll end up winning the game with this spectacular triple attack, right? When the king moves, it doesn't matter where he goes, we'll take the queen and have a piece advantage. This is really crucial when you try to play this little trick, okay? And don't let them play b5 against you. So how should we deal it? Because our trap is based on them kicking out our bishop and us having to reposition it on this diagonal to target the 7 square. If they don't play b5 against us, we won't be able to pull off the trap. Well, it's really simple. Let's suppose they play knight to f6, all right? We're going to try to force our opponent to play b5, and we'll do it with this move. d3. Come on, chess teacher, are you messing with me? How does d3 force them to play b5? Well, yes, that's right. And let's see why. Right now, you know that we're attacking. We're threatening to capture this knight before it goes wild. Capture this knight, and then capture this pawn on d5. So they need to find a way to make this no longer possible, let's say. If they play d6 to defend the pawn, that's one possibility, but this position is really passive for black's pieces. The bishop is going to end up trapped, and our position is really good. We can even launch the attack ourselves. The most common move, without a doubt, is that when we threaten bishop takes knight and knight takes pawn, they play b5 and now force us to move our bishop back to b3. And now, as you can see, we're in the same or similar situation as before. After any move, bishop to c5, bishop to b7, d6, what are we going to do? This jump right here. And again, they're forced to play d5 after the exchanges. And here's what we explained, right? This would be interesting, but all with an extra tempo. If they take here, they've lost the game because we capture, they come, the queen comes, they have to come over here, knight to c3, right? And everything we just talked about a moment ago. We could castle, play d4, bring out the bishop, and put a ton of pressure. And I have to tell you about a new feature in the academy that's going to fascinate you. Of course, besides all the classes from Flavia and me, right? That I upload for you every week, which you love, right? Everyone keeps telling me that you think Flavia's classes are amazing. She's so friendly and such a good player, isn't she? And besides reviewing them in PGN, like, well, everything you already know that's inside the academy, right? We've added this. Look at this. You can now connect your chess.com or Lichess account. This is great because you'll be able to get lessons that match your level, right? We work with a system that can identify and detect where your mistakes are and all that, so you can improve your skills at a much faster rate. Nowadays, improving is way, way easier than before by a long shot. And above all, I also recommend studying openings. From here, you can look up your favorite opening from the video you liked. For example, the Scotch Gambit, which I know y'all love. And then from here, you can practice it like never before, right? You can check out the lines, then practice them to see if, well, to see if you're doing it right and all that. Well, now you know everything we can do, right? Play, find model games to see how grandmasters play this line of the Scotch Gambit and how they do it. Next game, quizzes, typical problems from the Scotch Gambit, common situations that come up in games that you can work on solving. For example, we're looking at one here, right? And besides that, well, since I'm here, I'll also tell you that you have all the middle game exercises, which are amazing. For example, the Chess GPT quiz, which is just spectacular, right? It asks you, who is better in this position? And you might answer, for example, white is better because they have, let's see, significantly more space. I'm just making this up as an example, okay? And I'm going to click here so you can see what it tells me, okay? So what it does is think and figure out if we got it right, what we missed, and all that. Right now I have it set to English, but you can also set everything to Spanish. Everything's available in both Spanish and English, right? We skipped these two. Well, all of this is great, right? And of course, you can also practice endings, which you already know are so essential. And with one of my Academy classes, I'll say goodbye. You can check them out whenever you want. You already know you can sign up, and if you're not convinced, we'll give you your money back, so you've got absolutely nothing to lose. But I am completely sure, 100%, that you're gonna love it. So I'm leaving the link for you right down here in the description. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. It's the best. It's like a candy store for kids. For those of us who love chess, so you're gonna enjoy it just as much as I do. And I'll see you tomorrow, as always, friends, in the next video. Bye.